What if I told you that one of the greatest victories in sports history was achieved not by global superstars, but by a group of young college players that almost nobody believed in? What if a team of underdogs could defeat a machine that the entire world thought was completely unbeatable? And what if that single game could transform the future of an entire nation's hockey program forever? On a freezing night in February 1980, inside a roaring arena in Lake Placid, a group of American players stepped onto the ice carrying far more than just sticks and skates. They carried pressure, doubt, and the hopes of millions watching across the United States and around the world. Across from them stood the most feared hockey team on the planet, the Soviet Union, a powerhouse that had dominated international hockey for nearly 2 decades with precision, discipline, and overwhelming confidence. Most experts predicted a one-sided game. Some analysts openly questioned whether the Americans even belonged on the same sheet of ice. But what happened next shocked the sports world and became one of the most legendary moments in Olympic history. This is the complete story of USA Olympic hockey. The miracles, the heartbreaks, the rising superstars, the fierce rivalries, the strategic evolution, and the future that could redefine the sport once again. Stay with this journey, because the path of American hockey on the Olympic stage is far more dramatic and unpredictable than anyone expected. Ice hockey has always been a sport of speed, courage, and split-second decisions made under enormous pressure. From the earliest days of the Winter Olympic Games, the United States viewed hockey as more than just competition. It was a proving ground where the country could measure itself against the best in the world. When hockey first appeared in the Olympics in 1920, the Americans quickly showed flashes of potential, but for many years, they lived in the shadow of traditional giants like Canada and the Soviet Union. Those early decades were filled with learning experiences, near misses, and gradual progress. The United States had talented players and passionate fans, but it lacked the centralized development machine that powered its biggest rivals. American players often emerged from scattered college programs, regional amateur leagues, and community rinks rather than from a single dominant national system. Through the 1930s, 1940s, and 1950s, the United States remained competitive but inconsistent. There were moments of brilliance, but also frustrating setbacks. That began to change in 1960 at the Winter Olympics in Squaw Valley, where the United States captured its first Olympic gold medal in men's hockey. It was a breakthrough that proved the Americans could rise to the top under the right circumstances. Still, even after that victory, few observers believed the United States would soon produce one of the most iconic moments in sports history. By the late 1970s, international hockey had a clear ruler. The Soviet Union team was widely considered the most dominant force the sport had ever seen. Their style was built on relentless conditioning, precise puck movement, and years of playing together as a unified unit. Many of their players effectively trained year-round, creating chemistry that few opponents could match. They defeated teams with clinical efficiency and rarely appeared vulnerable. Against this backdrop, the United States Olympic roster for 1980 was quietly forming under head coach Herb Brooks, a demanding and visionary leader who saw opportunity where others saw only risk. Brooks was not interested in simply selecting the most famous or individually skilled players. Instead, he wanted a specific identity, a team that could skate relentlessly, maintain mental toughness under pressure, and execute a hybrid style combining North American physical play with European puck movement. He selected mostly college athletes, many of whom were young and relatively unknown on the international stage. His practices quickly became the stuff of legend. They were exhausting, repetitive, and psychologically intense. Brooks pushed his players beyond their comfort zones because he believed conditioning and resilience could neutralize even the most technically superior opponent. When the 1980 Winter Olympics began in Lake Placid, expectations for the American team remained modest. Early performances showed promise, but the looming matchup against the Soviet Union was viewed as the true test. The Soviets had recently dominated a team of NHL All-Stars in an exhibition, reinforcing their aura of invincibility. Yet inside the American locker room, belief was quietly growing. The players had endured Brooks' relentless preparation, and they began to trust the system that demanded constant motion and fearless pressure. February 22, 1980, arrived with enormous tension. From the opening face-off, something unusual became clear. The Americans were not intimidated. They skated aggressively, challenged the Soviets physically, and refused to allow the game to settle into the smooth rhythm that usually favored their opponent. The contest became a dramatic back-and-forth battle filled with momentum swings that kept the crowd on edge. Goaltender Jim Craig delivered a heroic performance, turning aside repeated Soviet scoring chances with remarkable composure. Then, late in the third period, team captain Mike Eruzione scored the goal that would echo through sports history. The United States took a stunning 4-3 lead. The final minutes felt almost suspended in time. The Soviet team attacked desperately, but the Americans held their defensive structure. When the clock finally reached 0, the arena erupted in disbelief and celebration. The United States had achieved what many still consider the greatest upset in team sports history. Yet the job was not finished. 2 days later, the Americans faced Finland with the gold medal still at stake. Under immense emotional pressure, they completed the mission and officially secured Olympic gold, forever transforming the perception of USA hockey. The impact of that victory extended far beyond the medal ceremony. Youth hockey participation across the United States surged dramatically in the years that followed. Investment in training facilities, coaching development, and national programs increased. The belief that the United States could produce world-class hockey talent was no longer theoretical. It was proven. Over the next 2 decades, USA Hockey worked methodically to build a sustainable development pipeline. One of the most important steps was the creation of the National Team Development Program, which began systematically identifying and training elite young players. By the time the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City arrived, the United States had evolved into a consistent contender rather than an occasional underdog. The men's team blended experienced NHL veterans with disciplined defensive structure and strong goaltending. Their run to the silver medal on home ice demonstrated how far the program had come since 1980. 8 years later, at the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, the Americans delivered another thrilling performance. Goaltender Ryan Miller produced one of the finest Olympic tournaments ever by an American netminder, while forwards like Patrick Kane and Zach Parise provided speed and scoring punch. Parise's dramatic late goal in the gold medal game forced overtime against Canada, creating one of the most intense moments in Olympic hockey history, though Canada ultimately secured the gold. While the men's program was gaining consistency, the United States women's hockey team was building an elite legacy of its own. Since women's hockey was introduced to the Olympics in 1998, the rivalry between the United States and Canada has defined the tournament. The American women combined exceptional skating, tactical discipline, and relentless tempo to remain perennial medal contenders. Their most emotional triumph came in 2018 when they finally captured Olympic gold after years of near misses. The shootout victory electrified fans and inspired a new generation of players across the country. At the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, the men's tournament took on a different look because NHL players did not participate. Team USA fielded one of its youngest Olympic rosters ever, filled with promising college and international league players. The team showed flashes of speed and future potential, but was ultimately eliminated in the quarterfinals, highlighting both the depth of the development pipeline and the importance of experience at the Olympic level. The women's team continued its excellence in Beijing, advancing once again to the gold medal game before earning the silver medal against Canada. Today, USA Hockey stands at a fascinating moment in its evolution. The development system is stronger than ever, producing a wave of highly skilled, fast, and creative players who are making major impacts in professional leagues. Modern American teams emphasize speed, aggressive puck pressure, quick transitions, and mobile defensemen who can contribute offensively. The traditional heavy, grinding style has gradually given way to a faster, more skill-oriented approach that mirrors the broader evolution of the sport worldwide. Goaltending remains one of the United States' most reliable strengths. From Jim Craig's heroics in 1980 to Ryan Miller's brilliance in 2010 and Matty Rooney's clutch saves in 2018, elite netminding has repeatedly elevated American teams in critical moments. Development programs continue to prioritize goalie training, ensuring that this advantage remains part of the national identity. As the hockey world looks ahead to the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo, anticipation is rising rapidly. If NHL players return to Olympic participation as expected, the United States could assemble one of the deepest and most talented rosters in its history. Many analysts believe the combination of elite young forwards, mobile defensemen, and strong goaltending could make Team USA a serious gold medal favorite. However, Olympic hockey has always been unpredictable. Momentum can shift in a single period, and history has shown that underdogs can still rewrite the script. What makes USA Olympic hockey truly compelling is not just the medals or the famous names. It is the identity that has formed over decades, the belief in speed, resilience, and rising to the moment when expectations are lowest. It is the image of young players skating fearlessly against established giants, of goaltenders standing tall under relentless pressure, and of rivalry games that capture the attention of millions across the globe. From the frozen miracle in Lake Placid to the high-speed battles of the modern era, the story of American Olympic hockey continues to evolve, and the next unforgettable chapter may be closer than anyone thinks.